and thank you so much for joining us. It is my prayer that the content that you're about to enjoy adds value to your life. If you like it, please let us know by hitting that like button. Also, we'd love to connect with you, so please leave a comment below letting us know your thoughts. If you know someone who will enjoy this content, make sure to share it with them. For more content like this, subscribe to our channel and hit the notifications bell so that you never miss when we post something new. Don't forget to check out the video description for links to more information and other resources. May God bless you.
We Walla Wallaites who are visiting today are delighted to be back. There's this little thing that happened called the pandemic, and it's been a while, but you have used your time marvelously well. What a beautiful church you have. And I have to say, this is a non-trivial investment in the mission of this congregation. For one thing, you'll have wonderful Walla Walla University graduates like Michaela and Tristan and Aurora. And some of our graduates will want to come to this thriving Treasure Valley and to Boise, and they'll look around for their church home. And the investment you've made in infrastructure here and in mission. Lovely to see your core values out there on the wall. All of that makes a big difference when young adults and recent grads step into that foyer. So congratulations, a job very, very well done. Yeah, give yourselves a hand. And another reason I'm thrilled to be here is to join two worshiping communities. Last evening in the Walla Walla University Church, how many of you have been in that space at least once, the Walla Walla University Church? In that space, hundreds of young adults gathered for the heart of the week at Walla Walla University. They gathered for Vespers. Vespers is student-led, and you want to hear their fervent testimonies. You want to hear them sing praises to Christ. Every time I'm on campus, I go to Vespers. My heart is warmed, my spirit lifted, my sense that the church is in good hands in these generations that are coming behind us is heightened. And it's wonderful to be there. And then on Sabbath morning, there are several student-led worship services that happen early. There's Nuestra Iglesia, there's Berean, there's Circle Church, there's Renew Sabbath School, and so on. And these are places where student leaders are born, and pastors are birthed, and head elders of churches and head deacons of churches and deaconesses and witnesses to the living Jesus are nurtured. And it's a wonderful worshiping community, and so I imagine joining these two communities of faith here this Sabbath morning. Do you have a bucket list? A list of places that you would like to travel. Now, I'm painfully aware that post-pandemic travel costs have gone through the roof, right? Seems to me that, at least for some of the places I need to travel, plane fares have doubled. And that hotel room I used to get for $89 is now $189. Have you noticed? But bucket lists cost nothing, folks. You can dream. You need a bucket list. Some time ago, I decided I'd write a bucket list. And my bucket list has some places from the United States and Canada, and then it's got some international destinations, quite a few of them. On my Canada/US list is Kelowna. Heard a lot about Kelowna, never been there. Checked that one off last summer. great place, one of the best bike rides of my life. Pam and I enjoyed Kelowna. On my list is visit Alaska with Pam. The first lady of Walla Walla University is back there in the corner taking pictures. You see that? And here's the thing. You probably experienced this too. You can visit places. I've visited Alaska several times, but it's always been solo. Pam's not been with me. And you really haven't been there until your beloved goes there with you, right? Is anybody else like that? So there on my list is visit Alaska with Pam. 1 week camping at Crater Lake National Park. Now, that may be a solo visit. I want to go to the Lost Horse Mill in Crystal City, Colorado. And on my list goes. On the international list, a hill walking trip in the Scottish Highlands. You might have anticipated that given my surname, right? Iceland and Finland. Haven't been there. Got to go to those two places. Must return with Pam to Zermatt, Switzerland. Got to do that. Portugal, we've been to Spain, but Portugal, Spain, Morocco with a side trip to the Azores. Now I'm getting kind of exotic, right? And expensive. I want to visit, and this one's hard to do today, but I want to visit Straight Street in Damascus, Syria. That's something I want to do. What's on your bucket list this Sabbath morning? To be a disciple. To be a Christian disciple is to practice a very specific, very special kind of travel. Because a disciple is simply a person who follows Jesus. And that special kind of travel then is following in the footsteps of Jesus. And there are many passages in Scripture, many passages in the New Testament that talk about the Christian life as a journey, as following Jesus. But one of the most enigmatic and challenging for us is our Scripture passage today, so nicely read by Piper. Matthew 7, verses 13 and 14. Enter through the narrow gate. Enter through which gate? Enter through the narrow gate. For the gate is wide. What kind of a gate is it? It's wide, and the road easy that leads to destruction, and there are many who take it. For the gate is narrow, and the road is hard that leads to life, and there are few who find it. At this moment in our shared discipleship journey, Jesus offers a striking contrast between two ways. One road begins with a wide gate, glorious architecture, carved stone, attractive landscaping. That gate is wide. The other begins at a little narrow gate. It's timber frame, gnarled and sagging, the weeds chin high, the narrow gate. Through the wide gate is a wide road, 6 lanes of traffic, well maintained, new pavement, freshly painted lines, wide shoulders, mowers at work on the verges. The speed limit? 80 miles per hour, but who's watching? This is the interstate, the motorway, the Autobahn. The road is easy. This Washington State driver likes that 80 mile per hour sign when it pops up. Through the narrow gate is a narrow road, a single lane, itself narrowing here and there, gravel and mud, potholes and hairpin turns, endless washboard ruts, shoulders, what shoulders, almost swallowed by the encroaching underbrush. The speed limit? 35 miles per hour if you can stand it. The road is hard. Now, on that wide road travel many people. There's a lot of traffic on that wide road. It has easy access, plenty of on-ramps. You just fall into it. You can't miss it. It's natural. It's the default. It's the way to go. It's on the map, and it's in almost every guidebook. There are many who take it. The other way, that narrow, winding road requires a search, a quest, intentionality. It's not on the maps, and it's in only one guidebook. The gas station guy doesn't know it. A passion for potholes burning in your heart. You've got to seek it out. No wonder it's true. No wonder it's true. Few there be that find it. Now, I must tell you that there's something truly disturbing about Jesus' artful contrast between two roads. You see, when Jesus contrasts two ways, he's drawing on a popular theme, a popular way of speaking in the Old Testament and in Jewish literature. Two citations from Proverbs will illustrate the genre well. With the words of Jesus in mind, listen to them carefully. Proverbs 4, verses 18 and 19. In fact, since you can see them so well, read them with me, would you? The path of the righteous is like the light of dawn, which shines brighter and brighter until full day. The way of the wicked is like deep darkness. They do not know what they stumble over. And Proverbs 15, verse 19, picking up the volume just a little. The way of the lazy is overgrown with thorns, but the path of the upright is a level highway. In such examples, and we could cite many more, which road is it that is hard and toilsome? It's the road of the wicked or the lazy person, right? And which road is light-bathed and level? That's the road traveled by the righteous. So such citations cast in high relief the startling, disconcerting comparison of Jesus. For the words of Jesus about gates and roads, in those words, it is the way of the worldling which is commodious and level, and the road of the disciple which is toilsome and hard. Imagine, and it'll take a little work to do so, but imagine that your father and mother, recognizing your accomplishment of graduating, say, from Gem State Academy, or let's use Walla Walla University, thinking again of this wonderful trio of Michaela, Tristan, and Aurora. Imagine that your father and mother decide that you have worked so hard, your accomplishment is so stellar, that they are going to give you a car. Imagine that. So on a Sunday afternoon after commencement, they arrange a little exhibition for you to select one of two automobiles. You with me? One of two. First car rumbles up in the parking lot there at Walla Walla University on the corner of College and 4th, and it is an incredible machine. Sleek, brand new, bright red, incredible lines, a retractable hardtop. You walk around it, mouth agape, and this is a car to drive. Its interior crafted to cradle the driver. You sit in comfort for a moment, squeezing the leather-covered steering wheel as you try to take it all in, the new car smell and all. You tap the accelerator, and you're met by a hungry growl as needles leap to life on an array of instruments. A V8 plus 162 kilowatts of e-drive hybrid power, 0 to 100 kilometers, 0 to 62 in 2.5 seconds. And how did they squeeze such an incredible stereo system into this cockpit? How did they do that? You get out, and in continuing shock and disbelief, you stare at a little yellow emblem featuring a small black horse. This is an SF-90 Spider. You run your fingers across the name template, a brand new Ferrari. Just then, your father speaks. Don't get too carried away. I know it's a beauty, but you've got to see the next one. Keep an open mind. And just then it chugs into the parking lot, a 1973 lime green Chevrolet Vega. How many of you remember the Vega? Okay. The engine sounds pitiful. It sounded pitiful when it was brand new. It isn't any different 40 years later. The body badly deteriorating. Somebody has tried to cover up all that rust with a layer of lime green paint that almost matches. You turn to look at your dad, and his face is radiant at the poor, worn-out, dilapidated car pulling up. Out of deference to him, you sit in it. Pieces of an aging vinyl steering wheel cover fall off out of your hands. The sun visor sags to the middle of the cracked windshield. Walla Walla University's tarmac is visible through the floorboard. Someone has tried to patch the dashboard with, yes, duct tape. In a state of near shock, you step out and you look at the two cars. Your dad standing beside you, usually a perceptive, level-headed person, but he looks at you, his voice brimming with enthusiasm, and says, "If I were in your shoes, I know what I'd do. I'd take the Vega. Which one do you want?" Enter through the narrow gate. For the gate is wide and the road easy, which leads to destruction, and there are many who take it. For the road is narrow and the road is hard. The gate is narrow and the road is hard that leads to life, and there are few who find it. Jesus' saying is deeply disturbing, for he sets the shiny new Ferrari of a worldly life alongside the dilapidated Chevrolet Vega of discipleship, and then he stands back and he exudes, "Choose the Vega." So why does Jesus disturb us so? Why this strange, enigmatic statement about the Christian life and discipleship and what it means to travel with Jesus? Well, I would say that at least one reason is because it's true. The road of discipleship is not easy. The Christian life is a battle and march. There are nagging personal faults to overcome, and there are powers of darkness to confront. These words are not the whole truth on discipleship, for Jesus himself will remind that there are many ecstasies along the way and a burgeoning joy no worldling can experience, but these words are true. And they startle us into hearing two valuable, important lessons, two simple pieces of Christ-focused advice. The first is this: don't judge the journey by the journey, but by its destination. The Sermon on the Mount, of which our passage is a part, concludes with four powerful contrasts. If you turn in your Bibles to Matthew 7 and follow along with me there. Using four different stories, four different sets of images, Jesus makes one clear clarion point. It is the end that counts. What counts? It's the end that counts. The first of these stories is the one we're looking at about gates and roads. But review the other three contrasts with me. In Matthew 7, verses 15 through 20, Jesus contrasts good trees and bad trees. And how are we to know the difference? How are we to tell which is a good tree and which is a bad tree? You watch and you wait, says Jesus, until the end of the season. You wait until it's time to pick the fruit. You don't judge the tree in early spring by emerging leaves. You could be wrong. You wait until season's end, for every good tree bears good fruit. It is the end that counts. Don't judge a journey from its start, but by its end. Don't judge a tree in spring, but at harvest time. In the next three verses, Matthew 7, verses 21 through 23, Jesus sets out another contrast. We see a would-be disciple. This person is at the beginning of the journey, and this disciple says the right words, the perfect profession. Lord, Lord, just as you cannot judge a journey by its beginning, nor a tree in springtime, you cannot judge a disciple from the get-go. For it is not the profession alone which marks the true disciple. It is not the one who says, but the one who also does, who is the true disciple. You cannot differentiate a true disciple from a false by what they say at the beginning, but what they are doing at the end. Have they done the will of my Father in heaven? Don't judge a journey from its start, but its end. Don't judge a tree in springtime, but at harvest. Don't judge a disciple by a profession fabricated at the beginning, but by loyalty proved in the end. It is the end that counts. The great Sermon on the Mount, you'll recall, concludes with a fourth sharp contrast, the best known of the four. It contrasts two builders. At the start, you might judge two houses to be very much alike. Both seem to use quality building materials. Both are new. Both are well landscaped. Both are nicely appointed. You cannot see the striking contrast between these two at their beginning. You must wait until you're getting it. You must wait until the end. You got to wait until the end. You must wait until the rains fall, the floods rise. You've got to wait until the winds howl and pummel these two houses, and then you can tell. For water and wind will reveal what was not evident at the start. You will see one house standing fast, and you will watch and hear the other one come tumbling down, and it fell, and great was its fall. Don't judge a journey from its start. Don't judge a tree in spring. Don't judge a disciple at the beginning. And don't judge a house when it is new. Judge it at the end, when it stands proven or destroyed by lashing wind and rising flood. Let me suggest that at the end of the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus provides four stories with this one driving, repeated point. It is the end that counts. The destination makes all the difference. Jesus says, let me ask, are you headed for that narrow gate? Are you traveling the narrow, constrained road? Will the promise of springtime be matched by the fruits of harvest? Is your profession ready to be tested in the crucible of life? That house of yours, are you building it on the rock? And why does Jesus ask these questions? Because Jesus does not wish for your harvest to fail. He does not wish for your expression of discipleship to be empty. He does not wish your house to be proven to be a house of cards. And he does not wish your journey to end in destruction. And so at the beginning of the journey, Jesus invites you to reflect on the end, for the destination you choose at the beginning makes all the difference. There's a second powerful piece of advice in Matthew 7, verses 13 and 14. Don't judge the journey by the journey, but by its destination. Second, don't judge the journey by the journey, but by your companion. Enter through the narrow gate, for the gate is wide and the road easy, which leads to destruction, and there are many who take it. For the gate is narrow and the road is hard that leads to life, and there are few who find it. We've seen the contrast. The road traveled by the worldling is wide. There's lots of traffic. It's the default, the way to go. Most everyone takes it. Camaraderie and companionship are readily available. Chatty company, learned conversationalists, fun people. There are many who take the wide road. The winding road, discipleship way, requires a search, a quest, intentionality. It's not on the maps, and in only one guidebook, the disciple must seek it out, so it's no surprise. Few there be that find it. Few there may be, but there is at least one other traveler on the road. And this is a case of quality eclipsing quantity. One quality companion can be so much more rewarding than a chatty throng, and there is one that travels this way. For as we move through the Gospel of Matthew, it becomes clear that Jesus is on this road. Jesus is navigating the curves. He's dodging the potholes. Jesus is moving with intentionality and purpose down the winding, twisted road to an old, rugged cross. There are those who would dissuade him, who would offer him exits to the wide road. But Jesus again and again chooses the same thin, narrow road he advertises to his disciples. To move through the narrow gate and down the narrow road is to follow in the footsteps of Jesus, and it is to have the privilege of his company on the way. However winding and narrow the road may be, he offers you his companionship on the way. Two potent words of counsel for anyone on the journey of life and discipleship. Don't judge the journey by the journey, but by its destination. And don't judge the journey by the journey, but by your companion. For many months, my family and I had been planning to meet some treasured friends in Canada. We had heard them describe the cottage many times, and finally the day arrives when we are to join them at this marvelous getaway. A few days before we leave our home in Berrien Center, Michigan, and head north to Canada, the directions come via email. A full page in length. I only quote you the last few lines, okay? I'm going to spare you the rest. Here's the last few lines. Turn right onto this road and continue maybe 1 mile until you see another sign for the marina. Go past this sign, but slow down because it is not too far. You will then see a trail, not quite a road, veering off to the right. There is a sign that says BJK and family. This is where you turn off the road onto the car path and slow down even more. Continue on this trail until you start going downhill. At the bottom of the hill, you can turn to the right, although it may not look like a road or a trail, and then you will start going uphill. Drive slowly, especially if your car is low. If you are concerned that you can't get in too much farther, you can park there. The cottage is up to the right, up ahead and to the right. Now, let me suggest to you that when you get a set of directions like that in your inbox, you know you're headed for Discipleship Way. You know it. As usual, I'm sure no other families are like this, but as usual, we don't get away as soon as we would have liked. And the Toronto traffic, rush hour traffic delays us further. There are indeed many on that wide road. It is very dark by the time we wend our way on the narrowing roads toward our destination. We keep reading the directions and responding rather predictably. I, the mail, the call porter, certain that we can find the way. Pam, sure we should stop for directions. Both of us are powerfully relieved when we come to Galway Road and find our friend Jeff waiting for the weary pilgrim band. And suddenly, all the twists and turns, the little signs, the meandering trails are no problem at all. We have a guide. We have someone who knows the way, someone who's been there many times before. Worries about getting lost vanish. Concerns about missing that trail, not quite a road veering off to the right, disappear. All the questions, are we going to make it? Are we on the right road? Do you really think we can find it? Are we almost there? All of those questions evaporate. And what a destination it proves to be. Truly, the half had not been told us. Water skiing, kneeboarding, sailboarding, paddleboarding, rowboating. We had never been told that our hostess would serve us 3 delicious meals every day, nor about that quaint marina store. We would take a Vega to get there any day.
I hope you are blessed by today's message. If you have any questions or would like someone to pray with you or for you, please feel free to contact us. May God bless you and keep you till we meet again.